Hello and welcome back to another video of Charts with Cart. This video is going to be covering gold and silver, what I'm doing, what I'm seeing in the charts, and where I think we're heading next. Alright, let's jump right into the action. But before we do so, I'm not a financial advisor, I don't give financial advice, and never risk more than you can afford to lose when trading. So we're here on the chart of gold, trading at 2,431. So, to recap, we've talked about this big inverse head and shoulders on this channel a lot, with a target of around 2,520. And I did in the past, I think it was my last gold video, say we were on our way to about $2,500 resistance, and I believe that was right before we had this push up right here, and we hit this resistance just shy of 2,500. I believe we went to 2,480 when we hit this resistance right before 2,500. So we have not broke 2,500 yet. The RSI has been making some lower highs here as we've been making some higher highs in price. This is signaling that a greater downside could be coming, maybe to retest this as support, as this is our channel support. Once resistance in here, we flipped it perfectly right here. This would be support if we came back down to it at around 2,300. So if we come back to 2,300, in my opinion, that is a buying opportunity on gold. Do I think that's going to happen? I really don't know right now. I'll be honest, gold is very indecisive at the moment for me. We have a bullish engulfing candle right here. So in the very short term, I'm leaning towards the upside here on gold. But by all means, is that a very firm belief? I hold very little gold right now. The only gold play I have right now is long to the upside, but with a longer mindset. Alright, so we're on the weekly chart here of gold, and we are in the middle of this very large channel that I've talked about on this channel before, and we are just poking our heads above a trading range. So this trading range has been quite boring. We've been trading inside of it since the start of April of this year. We are now into August. So it's been a range for a long time. We saw this candle right here, a topping tail at resistance. We had a little crash and then bullishly engulfed this candle back here with last week's candle, and then this week's candle is also very cryptic. So if we zoom in and look at it, what do we see? We're at the top of a rally. We're holding the top of the range, which was prior resistance right here, here, and here. So we poked our head above. We're holding it as support. Now this to me is not confirmed support in the analysis that I use. To confirm support, you want to close above the high of the candle that broke the range. So I would want to see a close on a weekly chart candle above 2,484 before I can be decisively bullish on gold in the medium term. Okay, I'm bullish in the short term as per the bullish engulfing on the daily chart. However, I do acknowledge that there's some RSI divergence that's hinting at some potential downside eventually going to play out on gold. And the weekly chart also shows some divergence on the RSI. So these are some signals we can't ignore, but don't have effect overnight, but rather over time. The price factors these things in. The price is going to eventually head down, but we are poking our heads out of a bullish trading range. Now, I need to also mention that this candle that we just closed could be considered a hanging man at the top of a rally. We have a long wick to the downside, very little wick to the upside. So we need to watch what happens next week. Next week is going to be a huge decider in if we're heading up or down. So this is a hanging man. To confirm a hanging man, you need to see a downward week next. May I repeat myself? If we see a move to the downside next week, we close below 2,430, it's likely that we're going to head down to 2,300. But if we close above, and especially above 2,484, it's likely that we're on our way to 2,700. So watch the stochastic RSI next week. Make sure we have momentum still in gold. Watch how the week plays out. I have a short-term bullish bias and we can create a more bullish bias if we close higher next week. If we do in fact close above 2,484 next week, then I will probably go heavier long for a move up to 2,700. But regardless, we go down to the bottom of the trading range, go down to 2,100, or break up to 2,700 now, that does not change my opinion of us eventually heading to the top of this channel, probably middle to late 2025, and potentially top on gold at around 3,000 to 3,100. All right, so we're now looking at the daily chart of silver trading at $27.45. So zooming in here, what do we see? We see a potential correction that has just played out and potentially finished. So I see this whole correction that has started in May as a large A right here, then a B wave that I thought could have been the start of a next wave until we started rejecting over here. Then I changed to bearish once I saw this bearish reversal candle right here, and we finished a C wave down here. So to be honest, I thought we were going to go a little lower, and to be fair, we still could. This C wave, like I said, finished might not actually be finished, but it could be finished. So I bought. Regardless, if it goes down to $26 and supports, I don't really care. So I bought at $26.50. I don't really care if we go down to $26. Maybe I'll buy a little more, maybe I won't. But in the long run, who really cares if I miss the bottom by like 50 cents? So we printed a bullish engulfing here on Thursday, and I'm happy with my buy decision. Even if we go 50 cents lower, don't really care. I'm in it for the longer game on silver. But regardless, next move is likely going to take us to around 29 because of the bullish bias we have in the short term because of this bullish engulfing candle made on Thursday. Note that on silver's daily chart, we almost got oversold on this correction. So here's where things get really exciting on silver. It's the weekly chart. And if you look and zoom in, we have dipped our toes in the sand, aka into the demand zone here. So this area really has to act as support, which it has so far. So we cannot be going below $26 here on silver to remain bullish. We cannot be consistently trading below 26. Notice how on the weekly stochastic RSI at the bottom of our screen, we are oversold, simply oversold. But in price action, what have we done? This is a bearish engulfing. So maybe price isn't quite ready yet to explode up, but who knows? Once momentum comes in, then price will start to go up. And it's likely that momentum is going to come in when we're in this demand zone down here because buyers are going to be stepping in to buy the dip. So notice we've already seen that with this long wick on this candle here. Although it's a bearish candle, we have a wick to the downside, which means momentum to the upside. We're oversold as per the stochastic RSI on the weekly, and we're in a spot on the chart where the buyers should be stepping in. And eventually, I do think we're on our way up to this $36 to $38 range. And I think this move is going to play out rather quickly once we have our momentum into the market. And finally, I just wanted to touch base on this silver related stock. First, Majestic Silver Corp. On the weekly chart, it's trading at $6.89 right now. I have lowered my average on this position. I won't lie, I am in the red so far because of some disastrous earnings, but I dollar cost averaged my way to a $7.20 average. Look at the RSI. We have made beautiful structure here. We have a beautiful upsloping ascending trend line that we've come right back down to. This is where we could be expecting some strength to come in and expect a bounce both in strength and price. So worst case scenario, we could come back down to the bottom of the channel here, and that's worst for now at around 530, but I don't think we're going to do that. I think we're going to be heading up to the top of the channel where we would see resistance at around $10.30. So I don't trade off how I think. That's why this position has a longer term focus, but eventually the chart is indicating that if we can bounce at this level right here, that we can head up. So once silver trades upwards, which the chart shows that it probably will, I believe that AG is likely to follow because of its ties, and this will be a successful play after all. I hope you enjoyed the update on the metals.
Limited edition, nearly 20 cheap and fit. Everybody can't come on me. I think I'm a big me shop cheese charge. Oh, me getting a girl chop on me. Hey boy, me someone me nothing can.